So, Jomo, my man, we've been wanting to do this for a while now. I've tried to. I got a lot of people asking me to come on the podcast from social media, but with every conversation that I have, I believe that there needs to be the positive outcome, right? There needs to be the solution, whatever that solution may be.
Right.
Everybody's different in recovery. I've heard you talk about the way you recovered. But the one thing I like to give is multiple possibilities for people, right? So the reason that I don't let everybody come on is because I believe there's a lot of people who still haven't done the difficult work. And that's okay, that's okay. It's just part of their journey, part of their story. So I guess what I'm saying is you're one of the more inspirational people that I see on social media who's doing what they do. You've got a lot of positivity, a lot of energy, a lot of creativity and happiness, and the energy's there, man. So first of all, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and the amount of people that you're touching and helping their lives.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. This means everything to me. This is exactly where I wanted my platform to go. And anytime I get asked to do something like this, it's an honor and it's a privilege. I don't ever ask to do a podcast because then I feel that's my ego getting in the way. I like to be asked to do stuff, and then that's a higher power thing. He believes in me, you believe in me, and we can reach people. I absolutely love what we're doing here. I love it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, mate, I want to apologize because when I looked the other night, it just said 5 hour time difference, and I assumed you were 5 hours ahead of me when it turns out I'm 5 hours ahead of you. So we've got that bit of a mix up, but I appreciate you, coming on and taking time out of your day on short notice to come on and speak to me. So I guess what I like to do with the guests is we start from the beginning, right? We start from the beginning. We work our way up to today. I'm very, very interested to know your backstory, where you grew up, where you came from, and we'll go from there, mate. We'll go from there. I'll give you the reins to do what you want to do, man.
Okay. I mean, in a nutshell, I was born and raised in the Bronx. Born and raised in the Bronx. Arthur Avenue section, Pelham Bay section of the Bronx. Very Italian, very Irish area. Very organized crime area. You actually, to be honest, you had to be in that type of lifestyle to even live in that neighborhood. And I my whole life, I was misinformed by the misinformed. I picked up my first substance at age 13. I'm sorry, the dogs. Is that okay that the dog barked?
No, it's fine. There's a little there's like a vibrating sound coming from somewhere, but if you speak again, I think it's gone.
You know what it is?
You hear that?
They're cutting the lawn outside. That could be it, right? And I have the noise reduction on, so hopefully he doesn't come back. No, here he comes. He's coming back.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out. Don't you worry about it.
You ever pray for patience and tolerance, and then a lot of stuff happened to teach you patience and tolerance?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me start off by saying this again. I was born and raised in the Bronx. Upper middle class. Upper middle class. When there was an upper middle class. My family was all Irish and Italian. We it looked good on the outside. All smoke and mirrors. The 3-family house, the swimming pool, the basketball court, the side yard. It all looked beautiful as the visual. But I come from a family of dysfunction. I come from a family of alcoholics, violent alcoholics. I never got the attention that I wanted from my family. I never felt accepted. I never felt wanted. I always felt less than. Nothing was ever good enough in my family life. My father was a typical Irishman. All he felt was he had to go to work, bring the check home, endorse it to my mom, put it on the table, and his day was done. His job as a dad was done. My dad was never there for me for anything relevant, anything big, anything important in my life. My dad was never there. But we never did without anything. There was always food on the table. I just didn't have the emotional part of a dad. My mom was very domineering, very physical. I was hit very bad as a child. You know, I'm a Gen Xer, so that was acceptable back then. Back then, the neighbor could give you a slap and they wouldn't do anything. But I was physically beat up as a child. And with whatever she could find, I got hit with. She was never satisfied with anything I did in school, work-wise. If I would have problems with my homework in school, she would call me stupid. She would call me, what are you, a moron? You know, stuff like that, stuff that scarred me as an adult, made me feel less than. So I say all of that to say this. My first DOC, my first DOC was your approval, was your acceptance. That was my first DOC. I did anything I had to make you like me. I did anything I needed to for you to accept me. And I mean anything. I would, I was the kid in school that when everyone was taking a test, I would make the noise in the classroom to make everybody go, oh, whoa, whoa, look at what Joe did. Look what Joe did. I would pretend to fall down like some steps to make people laugh because I wanted to be accepted. That's what I did. That's how my whole life was. Social acceptability. And it just carried on into my adult life, wanting to be loved, wanting to be cared about. Now, don't get me wrong. I had good moments in my life, you know, but through recovery, I was, how can I say it? I learned to understand rather than be understood. I learned why my mother did what she did to me because she was misinformed by the misinformed.
Yeah.
My dad was misinformed by the misinformed. And this is why I thank God for recovery. Because of this amazing platform, I am a 12-stepper. I do 12 steps. Yeah. It's my journey. It may not be your journey, but it's my journey. It freed me from me. Accountability was so healing. I learned to heal it, to feel it. I learned to understand rather than be understood. And I rekindled a major relationship with my mom. She is my biggest asset now in my life. And I made peace with my dad because my dad had a horrific childhood. I can't even say it on here, the things that were done to him. So because of this, I get emotional. Because of this journey of recovery, I've learned to turn it over. So, I mean, with that said, that's a little intro of what I've gone through. I mean, the rug abuse. Look, I said rug abuse, like we're on TikTok. Oh my goodness. I don't know how far you want me to go with this.
We go as far as you want to take it, brother.
I mean, if you're going to ask me questions, I'll answer anything you want.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, my childhood was. So I grew up in a single parent household. My dad was never around. My mum. It's funny. You've given me goosebumps there. My hairs are standing up on my arms because for a long time I felt an anger towards my mother.
Yeah.
That it was uncontrollable. It was a fucking fire that burned deep down in my belly. And I mean, my mum was violent to me as a kid. And again, I've mentioned this before, there was weapons involved and she'd do things to me psychologically that would play with my head like nothing else, you know. It's funny because through my own healing journey, right, through my own recovery, I've studied, I am studying psychology. I'm doing a master's degree in psychology, and I've also studied with, or studying with a guy called Teaspoon who's on TikTok. This guy's like a fucking genius, and I mention him in every podcast now. And through my own understanding of what I went through, I learned to understand that it was never about me; it was about them, right?
Right.
The things that happened to me, it was never. We grow up with these questions, right? Of what did I do to deserve this? You know, why did they be this way? Do they love me? Do they not love me? The fact of the matter is, they do love you. It's just there. It's there. It's in them, right? They treat us that way because it's been ingrained in them from, like you said, there different generations. And
That's how they were
you
taught.
mentioned there that, yeah, and you mentioned there, and it's beautiful, man. It makes me, I promise you, it makes me feel warm that you've had the conversation with your mother and father and learned to forgive and learn to love. And that's something that I'm in the process of doing with my mother now. I speak about her. You did it as well before. We say, we had this upbringing, but we always put a but in front of things to excuse what we said beforehand, right? And I stopped. My mother, I asked her for an apology. Well, it was my partner, my girlfriend. I broke down probably 2 years ago to my girlfriend, and I said, "This is what happened. This is what she did. This is what happened to me when I was a child." And my girlfriend went to my mother and she asked her, "Look, you need to apologize. He wants an apology. He's yearning for his mother. He's the little boy inside him is looking for that hug from his mother." And she said, "I am sorry, but." And as soon as the but was introduced, it was like, that's not a real apology.
No, if you're
And
really
yeah,
sorry, if you're making a real amends, there is no but. I used
yeah,
that my entire life. I wouldn't have did this,
yeah,
but if you didn't talk to me the way you did, but like I wouldn't have left the house for 3 days. It was always a but.
yeah.
So I get it. I get it.
Mm. So when we talk acceptance, right? I won't go into there's something called Bowlby's theory of attachment where we will yearn for this acceptance from our caregivers, i.e., our parents. And I never got that. I know my mother and father love me. My father is a terrible father, but he mentioned it to me a couple of years ago. He said, "I love you so much. You're my firstborn son." He said, "But I love you in my own weird way." I can accept that because one thing, having children myself now, I've learned to realize that being a fucking parent's difficult, and it's not for everybody. Anybody can be a parent. No, there's a certain understanding and a certain commitment that we have to make to ourselves and to our children to be a mother or to be a father. And I had my son, well, I think I was just before my 20th birthday. I had my daughter at 23 or 24 years old. And I've made a lot of mistakes. And it's through my understanding and through my education of what I did wrong that I've learned to forgive. And that's really important, right? And you mentioned before um, you did anything to be accepted. And we know that's a trauma response. We know that's a trauma response.
Oh yeah.
It's, so I guess my first question is, when was the earliest stage in your life that you realized that you had to go and look elsewhere for acceptance, wherever that may be?
13 years old. 13. Like I said, my mom never ever gave me any accolades for anything. My mom, if I brought home a 90 on a test, she'd say, "Why isn't it a 95?" Right? If I got 100, she would say, "Wasn't there any extra credit you could have did to make it 105?" I never felt worthy enough. I never felt good enough in her eyes. So I looked to the street for it. And it goes as far back as 13 years old, going to the park with a bottle of wine with 10 different people and being accepted for who I was. No one wanted anything from me, like they just wanted to have a good time. They wanted to laugh. and we all drank this wine and we danced in the schoolyard, and I could be whoever I wanted to be. I could be you. I could be the other guy. I could be anything you need me to be. Just please like me. Please love me. So I'd say about 13 years old.
It's that external validation factor, right? That will do anything to anything to feel seen. But you said something there that you could be anybody that you wanted to be, right? But at the same time, you also said just before that, I didn't. They accepted me for me. One thing I've come to realize now is that I call it the mirror of 1,000 faces, and I've mentioned it a few times, is that we'll put all these faces and makeup and layers of faces over our own, that we separate ourselves from who we truly are. And I think it's at that moment that you took that bottle of wine to the park and you sit with those people that we start to put the faces on. We start to put the layers of faces on. Because for me, I was a very shy, introverted child. I liked art. I liked reading. I liked storytelling. That's why I think that I've started this podcast, because I enjoy telling stories. I can make really colorful stories up off the top of my head about anything. But I slowly lost all those skills. I slowly lost all those abilities due to the fact that I wanted to be accepted by a society that was never my own.
Yeah.
I wanted to be accepted into the wolf pack simply to feel, not just feel just to feel as though I was seen. And I talk a lot about trauma and addiction, of the neuroscience of the brain and body and trauma, and that is, addiction was never the problem, right? Addiction was the response to the problem. That's how I see it. That's how I've always seen it. Addiction was never my problem. It was the response to the real problem. But we have to reiterate that societal pressure to feel accepted is huge in addiction.
Oh yeah.
So big. And I think you've made it pretty clear there for everybody to hear, whoever listens to this conversation, is that if you're feeling low, or if you're feeling like you're not accepted, don't look to the streets.
Absolutely.
Don't look to alcohol. Don't look to drugs. Look to what you're good at. Get lost in your own passion. Get lost in your own purpose of who you are as a human being. So if we go to sort of late teens, sort of when you're going from a young boy to a man, how did that look like for you? Did you realize you had an issue early on, or was it
Oh, I
something
sure
that you
did.
just felt was normal?
I sure
Yeah.
did. I'm going to tell you right off the rip that I was attracted my entire life to the fast life, fast money, nice looking women, the easy way out. I put myself in situations where I would be seen. I loved the organized crime life. It was around my whole neighborhood. Now I'm going to make this perfectly clear. I was never in it. I was always around it, and I was attracted to it. And I loved the way the wise guys in my neighborhood kissed each other hello on the cheek, hugged each other, right? I know now that was all fake nonsense, but I was attracted to it. And I got into a squabble in a local bar, and there was a couple of wise guys in there. And I had a cast on my leg, and somebody owed me some money. And I wound up getting into it with this guy, and I hit him in the head with the cane, right? I hit him in the head with the cane, and every wise guy that was in that bar recognized me. That's when I thought I saw the Holy Grail of Christ. Everybody who I thought was important in life saw me do what I did. And I got immediately accepted by multiple people in that life. Now, again, I'm going to say this again. I was never a made guy. I was never anything. I was a knockaround guy. I hung around them my whole life, but I felt relevant for the first time in my life. I picked up alcohol at 13, marijuana at 14. I found the love of my life, cocaine at 15, and it changed the whole course of my life. And that substance with that lifestyle, I was untouchable. Everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew who I was with. When I walked into a local tavern, it parted like the Red Sea. Here comes Joey and his crew. And that's what I wanted my whole life, to be loved and to feel relevant. And to find out it was all an illusion my entire life. It was all an illusion. Because at the end, they all turned on me. They all turned on me. And to answer your question before, I knew I was an addict by senior year of high school. I was a full-fledged cocaine addict, ready for my first treatment center. So that's if that answers that question.
It's funny because I like asking that question just to see everybody's different again, right? I didn't realize. So I took cocaine from the age of 17 was when I first tried cocaine. And I stopped taking cocaine at the age of 37. So 20 years. And it was only until my 19th year that I realized I had an addiction. I didn't realize. I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal because society tells us this is how, especially in the UK, this is how men act. You know, this is
Right.
how we work. And I had a conversation not so long ago with somebody, and they said, "Well, you didn't take it all the time or every day." Well, that's not how addiction works. Addiction will let you have 2 or 3 days off, and then pull you back in for 3 or 4 days. You know, it's a psychological thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny because a lot of people, and I imagine this is the same all over the world, don't realize that they have an addiction, that they have a problem with drink or drugs, because we think it's so normal. It's stigmatized as or stereotypically accepted, and it's just when you're looking at it from where you are now or from where I am. You said it yourself, right? It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
I spent 20 years taking cocaine. Cocaine and sleeping tablets was my thing, painkillers, because I'd wake up after 2 days of drinking and taking drugs with toothache or headache or jawache, because rubbing drugs on my gums all the time.
Yeah.
I had a thing where I'd eat it. I'd eat it sometimes, little chunks. I'd eat it, and so I ended up getting to the point where I couldn't function without a painkiller or a sleeping tablet in me. So over the last 5 years, I'd probably say of my addiction, I'd use a lot of painkillers and sleeping tablets. But where we say it's an illusion, right? Excuse me. I sold drugs for a couple of years. It was never big into crime, just a low level, make a couple of £100 here, a couple of £100 there. I'm one of those people, Joey, that I could sell sand to the Arabs,
Me
you
too.
know.
Ice to the Eskimos.
Yeah, yeah. And I've always made a couple of pound, a couple of quid here or a bit of money there, just to keep myself above board. When I was a young father, I never had any money. I owned my house when I bought my first house when I was 18, but I didn't have money, so I'd as you guys call it over there, I'd be a bit of a wise guy. I'd sell or rob diesel from work. I'd pinch a bit of diesel here. I'd sell all sorts of stuff just to make money. But when I got into the cocaine thing, I thought these are my people. These are my brothers.
Right.
And the reality is, there is no reality that paints that picture. There isn't.
The only thing that you have in common with that lifestyle is the drugs, the negative behavior, the chase of the substance. There's nothing in common. We have nothing to identify with each other with on an emotional level. It was all the physical level. It was the substance. Let me tell you something. I'm in my 6th year of recovery. I haven't spoken to one person that I grew up with since I was a baby. Not one person has called me to see how I am or see how I'm doing, because we have nothing to talk about. How much do
Yeah.
you have? Where you want to go tonight? How much money do you got? Don't worry, I got you. All that bullshit that goes along with active addiction. So now that I have nothing to talk to them about because I'm clean and I'm sober and I've changed my life, we got nothing to talk about anymore. And you know what? I'm
Yeah.
okay with that today. I'm good with that.
I'm coming up to 12 months without a drink or drugs. Educating myself was something that I was good at beforehand. I think I went through a period of like 5 months where I didn't drink, but then I relapsed, or not even relapse, because I believe it wasn't even a relapse. I believe I was still in active addiction. I
Right.
just pulled my addiction from one poison to another. That's all
Right.
I did. That's
You
all I
switch
did.
seats on the Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. Or I know now. I can feel it. And again, it makes my skin vibrate when I say these words. I will never drink or take drugs ever again. Ever. Because I know I've done the inner work now. I've had some really, really tough days, the same as you have this year, where 3 years ago I would have hit the bottle straight away. I drunk rum. Spiced rum was my drink. I fucking loved rum. I'd have picked that bottle up within 30 minutes of feeling this way. But what I've come to realize is when we're feeling emotional, the emotions are trying to tell us something. And what we've got to do is we've got to look at that mirror, dip our head into the water or whatever you want to call it, and feel that emotion. Why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling this way right now? I know. And it's because something that I hold valuable to me in one way, shape, or another is being challenged. Whether that be honesty, whether that be love, whether that be health, whatever that may be. And by learning to understand that the emotions are the messengers of who I am, that has helped me so much with my ability to, when I'm put in a shit situation, I know I'll come out of it the other way. I'll come out of it the other side, because now I have the ability in here and in here. I know it. I can feel it. It's part of who I am. And that was really important for me, especially within this period, because people can say to me, I've been sober for 2 years. I've seen a few people say it. And I'm looking at them and I'm thinking they've still got work to do. And then they relapse. I've met a few people early on this year that have relapsed, which is okay. This isn't a competition, right? This isn't a speed race. This is life, you know? Well, in almost a selfish way, it doesn't make me feel good seeing somebody relapse. It makes me feel bad for them, especially when I know them and I've built a relationship with them. But it's sort of, I get this understanding of the work that I'm doing is right for me because it's working, right? Um, I guess when was it you found the 12 steps? Was that early on? Was that something that you found in your early 20s, or was that later on in life?
It's a great question, man. Thank you for asking that, because I believe 150% in the steps. Now,
Yeah.
I made my first attempt at abstinence in 1988, my very first meeting. And all I could tell you is that I loitered for over 30 some odd years with the intent to recover. I loitered with the intent to recover. I knew it worked, but I never wanted to work it. I done 2 stints in New York of the steps. Doing the steps and applying the steps are 2 different things, right? I did them just to tell people I did the 12 steps. I did them twice, but I never applied them. But I knew they worked. So I used from 1988, right? 1988 until May 4th, 2020. 45 years of active addiction. I always knew recovery worked for me. I always knew it would work for me, but when was I going to let it work for me? I never wanted to let it work. I wasn't willing
Yeah.
to give up the life. I was addicted to the lifestyle. I was addicted to the chase. I couldn't get out of it. I didn't want to get out of it. So to answer your question, when I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, when I was tired of being the guy that nobody called, no one expected anything from, nobody wanted anything from, I surrendered. I admitted that I was powerless and my life was unmanageable, a shit show. I opened the floodgates of recovery. I got that sponsor and I jumped into the steps. They say it all the time in the 12-step meetings. What are you willing to do to get clean and sober? And at that time, May 4th, 2020, the answer was anything and everything. And then I got introduced to the steps 1 through 12. And when I tell you, it has been life-changing for me, life-changing. I got to learn who Joey was. I got to understand who I was. I never knew that I had empathy. I never knew that I was a loving, caring human being. The man that's sitting with you right now was not the guy 6 years ago. You would not be inviting me to do no podcast. I can guarantee it. And by the grace of God and all his mercy, I have done the 12 steps twice in 6 years, and it's changed my life. Steps 4 and 5 completely healed me because I let it heal me. Accountability healed me. I always say it. I got to feel it to heal it. And through accountability, I took accountability for my life. There was no way I was going to heal. And I got that sponsor, and he's guided me. And I am happy, joyous, and free, bro. I am happy, joyous, and free.
So that quote, I've got to feel it to heal it, right? When we talk trauma, when we talk pain and suffering, people think that purely having the conversation heals. It doesn't. Feeling, you have to feel it.
You have to.
And this is really, really important because something that I learned very quickly when I came into this world of recovery was codependency. And I think that's a big thing with I've never worked a recovery program, right? I never have. I've worked a program as such, Lee's program, with my mentor, the guy who's mentoring me. We've gone from one thing to another thing through the guy who's mentoring me. He's trained in psychology and neurolinguistics, and also struggled with addiction when he was in the military years ago. So he used his ability and his skills to allow myself to open up to my own abilities and my skill and who Lee is as a human being, right? But I learned something very quickly about dependency and codependency where, let's say, for instance, me and you were really close friends. Well, we are really close friends, but we knew each other in the physical sense. And my recovery was dependent on your recovery, and your recovery was dependent on mine. And that's a place where I see it quite a lot on social media, where people will say, I need to listen to your live, right? I need to listen to somebody. That's a very, very dangerous place to be. And I think from the people that I've got a friend of mine, Mikey Banks, you know him?
Mikey who?
Mikey Banks on TikTok.
I'm not sure.
No, you probably would have seen him around. So he's a huge 12-step advocate, and he's a very, very good friend of mine, somebody that I can call my brother now. I'm very, very close with him. He's a really good guy. But the one thing that I was seeing from people who were saying they were healed just from purely, not from 12 steps, this was just purely on social media, right? They were saying they were healed because TikTok lives were helping them heal. And I thought, no, nuh-uh. All you're doing there is you're creating a codependency where you're dependent on the live of somebody else to help you manage your issues. And I'm really, really happy because you're the first person. And again, I've not looked into 12 steps much, but you're the first person who I've heard from a 12-step program say you've got to feel it to heal it. And that's made me feel fucking so much better. I love it. I love that you said those words,
Good.
man.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If we're talking, so again, you don't have to explain the 12 steps to me. When you mentioned step 4 and 5 there, what did step 4 and 5 do for your life?
Step 4 is we made it's an autobiography of your life. It's
Okay.
we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And step 5 is we told it to somebody. That's where the sponsor comes in. Step 4 is a lot of people in recovery are afraid of step 4 because it drudges
I
up
can imagine.
all the shit, all the bad stuff. But it really isn't a whipping step. all your patterns are going to come out in that. Like if you have a sponsor like I have, he's going to sit while I'm reading it to him, and he's writing and he's writing and he's writing all my patterns. He's writing down my character defects and my shortcomings. That's what he's doing while we're going over this amazing step. And don't get me wrong, I was afraid of it for a long time,
Yeah.
But pain is a great motivator, right? And when things get painful enough, I was ready to change. And I did this 4th step. And the 5th step is just telling it to somebody. It doesn't have to
Right.
be your sponsor. It could be a priest. It could be a therapist.
Yeah.
But I chose my sponsor, who is like a blood relative to me now. And when I tell you,
Nice.
my heart was open, the void that was needed to be filled was filled. It was filled, because you cannot fill a void with monetary things. It has to be filled with love and spirituality and growth.
Mm.
Everything I was missing about feeling was put into my heart after those 2 steps. It was an absolute life-changing experience.
I always thought spirituality and religion were the same thing, right?
Oh no.
I've always been. I was actually religious education was one of my strongest subjects growing up. I'm not a religious person as such, but what I've really learned to understand is that I am far more spiritual than what I give myself credit for. And I've learned to realize there's so many different, when I talk spirituality, there's so many different levels to me as a person. And all I'm doing now is I'm just finding glimmers of elevation within what I do. And I can hand on heart promise you, I can sit here now and tell you, I can't look you in the eye because I'm looking at camera, but the person who I was even 12 months ago, mate, I look at that individual now and I'm like, I, it's difficult to believe that I was that person.
Right, right.
It's really, really difficult to understand that I did all these things and I take full accountability for my actions. I've done some fucked up things with my life, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And again, for a long time, my addiction would tell me, you're in the right. You've done nothing wrong. It's always them. It's always them. They're the ones with the problem, not you. Or by identifying, or by taking accountability and identifying my darkness, my shadow as a human being. Well, 12 steps. So Carl Jung, who was a psychologist in the 1930s and 40s, he actually had input into the 12-step program. He helped design the program in the 40s or the 50s. And he's somebody that I listen to a lot from a psychological point of view. And that he's got something called the shadow, which is basically looking into the dark parts of who you are to find the light. And I feel as though that's really, really important. But yeah, man, accountability it's huge, right? And how was it? How did you find accountability? Was it something you were told, or was it something that you felt?
I was told about accountability from the predecessors of my 12-step program. I was filled with nothing but resentment.
Yeah,
And let me tell you something, a resentment kills the soul. It kills the spirit like a cancer, right? And I was also told a resentment is like pissing down your leg. You're the only one who feels it. Because the guy who I got the resentment with don't even know I got the resentment with him. He don't even know I harbor resentment. I was taught to stay angry from I was a kid. Angry at my mom, angry at my father, angry at my brother, angry at my school teacher, angry at my boss. I was always angry. So when I got clean and sober, I was taught to be accountable, right? I was loaded with resentment. And my sponsor told me, I get it. You got resentments. But what was your role in the resentment? What was your role? You got to be accountable for the resentment. What did you do to them that made them do to you that got you angry? Because I didn't know about accountability. I didn't know what that was. And it was just being responsible for my side of the street. And I learned about it at 52 years old. 52. I didn't know what unconditional love was. I didn't know what accountability was. I learned all of that once I surrendered to the disease of addiction and started making meetings the way they were supposed to be made. And I learned about accountability. And once I did steps 4 and 5, like I said, I was free. I was free. The healing was remarkable. I don't look back anymore. I don't look anymore. The past is gone. There's a reason why the rearview mirror is so small in the car and the front glass is so big. I could glance and look back. Those who forget are doomed to repeat. And I also say, if I do what I always did, I'm going to get what I always got. Guilt, shame, remorse, pain, misery, and suffering. I could go on and on and on about the negative traits that fuel the addict. But through accountability, all that is arrested for me. I don't look back anymore.
What was your answer when your sponsor said there? What was your role? What was your part in the play? We'll call it part in your movie. When or what did you do? So I'm just thinking from my personal point of view here, how to try and answer that question. As a child, how could I give myself a role that influenced resentment as a child? How did you answer that? What was your answer to that
Well,
question?
I didn't go back as that far. Like when I
Okay.
was a kid, I'm being honest with you. I didn't go back that far. Like what was the role, that I played when my mother hit me excessively? You
Yeah.
know, what was
Okay.
the role? There was times where, I mean, can you even say you deserve a beating like that? I mean, I could tell you stories right now of what they did to me. I don't think
Mm.
there's any justification for that type of
No.
treatment. But
No.
I did cause them a lot of grief. Um, I did own that, if that's accountability, the stuff that I did do. Now, I'm not talking about 13, 14, 15. I'm talking about as I got a
Yeah.
little older, you know, but I took a lot of beatings, to be honest with you. I took a lot of beatings from family. But
Yeah.
as an adult, when he told me like, what was your role? How were you accountable? You got to be accountable for the resentments. I told him, kiss my ass. If they didn't do to me what
Mm.
they did, I wouldn't have do to them what I did to them. You know,
Mm.
so but I had to get humble, I had to get vulnerable, and I had to listen to him. And I had to break
Mm.
down what I did to them and then what they did to me, and then I got the resentment, right? I'm talking about regular people too, not just my family members, you know, people in general that I had resentments with. So when he told me at first about me being accountable, I didn't want to hear it. But there was no way I was
Mm.
going to be able to move on without getting
Yeah.
vulnerable and remaining teachable and just staying in the process of learning to listen and listen to learn, you know?
Where was safe spaces, right? Safe spaces in my own head has always been somewhere that I'd go to. I always had a safe space where I just shut my eyes and wander off to. Did you ever have anything like that as a child or as a teenager where you could create this own safe space of yours to feel safe when you were younger or feel loved?
I don't know. No, I didn't
No.
have that. If you want to talk about um, something that made me get out of myself, I love baseball. I love baseball, and Yankee Stadium was my happy place.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I would pick
Yeah.
up at 15 years old, jump on the train, and go to a Yankee game by myself, by myself, and just sit there and look at the grass and the dirt and the crack of the bat, and it just made me happy. For those 2 to 3 hours, I didn't have a care in the world. So I guess that was my happy place. And it
Mm.
still is. I'm 58 years old, and nothing makes me happier than watching the Yankees. If you've seen the room I'm in, you wouldn't believe it.
I can see the Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
What's
you
that?
got to see it.
1,180 miles.
Yeah, this is the Yankee man cave, and that is my happy place still to this day.
Who's your favorite Yankee player? I'd imagine Babe Ruth. Did Babe Ruth play for the Yankees?
Yeah, he played. Are you going to make me block you now? You as a big. My favorite player of all time was Thurman Munson. He was the catcher for the Yankees in the 70s. And
Okay.
I really haven't had one since then. I do like Aaron Judge. I like Derek Jeter, but Thurman Munson was the man. I'm when he was playing, I was 10 years old. That was my teams. My whole room is based on the 70s of the Yankee era. So this is something, just to say this real quick if I can. This room that I'm sitting in now was bucket list stuff. This was a room that I wanted my entire life, but I was never able to get it because every extra dollar I ever earned went up my nose, went
Drugs.
down my
Yeah,
throat.
same.
And I never had it. And everyone used to say, "Did you get the Yankee room set up yet?" "Oh, no, I ran into this problem. I ran into that problem." So check it out. I bought my first home at 56 years old. I didn't even buy
Nice.
a bed. I fixed the Yankee room up before I even bought a bed for the house. And it's like sacred ground, and my wife loves it, and she knows this is my safe place and my happy place. And only because of recovery, I'm sitting here in this beautiful Yankee room. All because of recovery.
Was the 70s was obviously, I take it, your era when when you were a young boy and you go and watch all the baseball games, yeah, right?
Oh yeah.
That's right. So it's funny, maybe have you ever looked at it? I'm gonna put words into your mouth now. Have you e- have you ever looked at it as maybe you're reliving the love of your childhood through that man cave right here, right now?
100%.
Mm,
100%. You
yeah.
couldn't have hit it a nail on the head. I'm living my childhood in this room. I've
Mm.
done things like that in my life. Like I always wanted fancy sneakers as a kid, and I can never get them. When I got older, I bought 25 pairs of US ones. Right? I always wanted a lot of Yankee hats growing up.
Yeah.
I'm living it right now. I got
Nice.
35 different styles of Yankee hats in my closet. That's what made me popular on TikTok. "Oh, you going to that guy with all the Yankee hats? He talks recovery." But it's really because I was soothing my inner child. This room soothes my inner child. So you didn't put words in my mouth, brother. You hit it on the head. You hit the nail on the head.
I I'm going through something similar myself at the moment, so I'm a big superhero fan. Big superhero fan. I've actually got Captain America t-shirt on at the moment. Um, I love Superman. I love Batman. I love all the Marvel stuff, Spider-Man, the Hulk. And I've just gone on a spree. So I used to be very materialistic, right? I used to be hedonism, they call it. It's a hedonistic lifestyle. Nice watches, nice trainers, nice t-shirts. When I'm talking money, it's like, we'll say it in dollars, $400 for a fucking t-shirt, you know? Now this Avengers t-shirt cost me $9, $10, you know?
I hear you.
My priorities have changed because this is going to sound really nasty from somebody who's trying to help other people. I don't care about the outside world. I care about my world and the people within my bubble.
Right.
There's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of craziness going on in the world that I don't want to be a part of. I want to build. Everybody's got their own different perception of what the world looks like, right? People who've been through a lot of pain and suffering. I made a clip last night, and I told a story of a young painter who he always used dark colors. Every time he painted a masterpiece, he'd always use dark, sinister colors, reds, blacks, browns. And every time he created a masterpiece, he didn't know what was looking back at him on the canvas. And it was only when he washed his paint tray with the water of hope that he realized that there was no dark colors left. There was only beautiful colors, blues, greens, yellows. That's all he had left to paint with. And when he started putting these colors onto the canvas, he understood the painting. He understood what the painting meant to him. Those sinister paintings will always be in the attic, but now I was creating new paintings and putting them next to the old ones. And I said he in the video, but it's basically a story of how we perceive life, right?
Right.
If we think life is all doom and gloom, life's going to be doom and gloom.
Right.
If we think life is, like you mentioned before, if life is beautiful, if life is love, if life is meaning or purpose, life's going to be all those things. And I think that you mentioned before about accountability. That's where being accountable for what your life looks like creates life, creates future. And I get emotional when I talk about love and happiness and beauty now, because for a lot of people, they don't feel love. They don't feel like they've got that in their life, and they have. They just got to find it.
Right.
People will go their whole lives without feeling the love of another human being. And a lot of people, it's probably the same over there. People kill themselves over this type of stuff. All we've got to do is be kinder to ourselves to start with and realize that there is so much love in this world. All you've got to do is allow yourself to be loved, man, and love will find you. It will, as we prove on a daily basis.
I had to let the wall down. I had to let the wall
Mm,
down and let people in. Right.
yeah,
I could talk all this happy horse shit about love and unconditional love, but if I got the wall up, nobody comes in. I cry in
yeah,
my life on a daily basis. What a gift. What a gift to be able to feel your joy. What a gift. What a gift. See, I get emotional now. What a gift to feel if you're sad. I'm able to feel your sadness. Empathy is such a beautiful, beautiful gift. And I will never swallow the pill of what's going on in society. You said nothing wrong, in my opinion. I
yeah,
have to maintain the glass half full. I will not look at life half empty anymore. I love to love people. I love to care. People need to feel relevant. People need to feel like they matter. And I've been given an opportunity to get clean and sober and to show people that I love them, to show them unconditional love, to give them a safe place to come in and talk to me. And when people come into my life and they say, Jomo, I feel so safe in here. Thank you. There is no TikTok gift. There is nothing anybody could give me to make me feel as good as that comment did. So I
yeah.
love feeling. I say it all the time. Two things happen in recovery, one good and one bad. The first one is I get my feelings back. The bad thing is I get my feelings back, right? But I love being able to feel. I love being able to say, hey, bro, I love you. Thank you for bringing me on this podcast, man, and really mean it. People go
Yeah.
their whole life without being able to say that, without being able to share it. And we got clean and sober. And I'm talking to you. You're in the UK, bro. And I'm in Florida. And I want to reach through this fucking screen and just grab you and hug you, bro. That's recovery, man. That's love, man. I can only keep what I have by giving it away. End of story. I've been given a gift and I want to give the gift back.
I was going to read a message out that I got today off somebody, but I won't. I'll keep it private. But I got a message today. So I get a lot of people. Obviously, I do a lot of my work off TikTok, right? I do it on YouTube. Um, I'm very, very, very close to the 1,000 people on YouTube now. Very, very close. And that's where I want to build. Well, podcast, right? I want to be able to do this full time. Um, I got a message off a guy this morning. He must have been listening to me talk in one of the lives that I did on social media, but I don't really go live much. Um, and he said to me, Lee, he said, you've helped me more than you'll ever realize over this last 2 weeks. He said, some of the stuff that you've spoken about, because I speak a lot around identity and values and a lot around identity. Um, and it made me feel emotional, man, because I've also had a message with a gentleman that was self-harming today. He sent me a video of himself yesterday, sorry. He sent me a video of himself self-harming, and it fucked me up a little bit, you know. It was really, really difficult. As soon as I looked at it, I was like, I can't get the picture out of my head. And I just thought to myself, we all have doubts sometimes. And I just thought to myself, this is tough. This is tough to accept that people, and I've got boundaries. I've got boundaries. I told him, look, you can't be doing stuff like this. I got quite emotional over it. I said, don't you ever fucking send me anything like that ever again. I can help you. I want to help you, but don't you ever put me in that position ever again, because that's not fair on me. I wouldn't do it to you, Jomo. You know, you're at the other side of the world. There's no way I'd ever send you a message and say, I need your help, otherwise I'm going to end my life. I couldn't do that to another human being. But he did it, and it messed me up a little bit. But then I got the message today saying, luckily, you know, you've helped me so much over the last couple of weeks. And my soul felt warm, my spirit felt, I had this beautiful feeling, man. And do you know what, mate? The one thing we talk about recovery I got that wrong. We don't talk about recovery like it's easy. There's a lot of people who say they make recovery look beautiful, which it is, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, this stuff, what's going on right now. But it's the most meaningful thing that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And I want to get your thoughts on your true recovery, how your true recovery felt like in every step of the way that you've been so far. How does it feel to you? The highs, the lows. I want to go there and really get to the depths of how you felt in your recovery.
How I felt in my recovery? Like what you mean in the way I'm feeling right now?
So when I talk recovery, I've had some really brilliant moments where I felt fantastic, but I've also had some really, really, really difficult moments in recovery where
Yeah.
I've struggled. I've struggled with the process.
Yeah, peaks and valleys. Peaks and
Yeah.
valleys. Recovery is peaks and valleys. Sometimes I'm up here, sometimes I'm down here. Sometimes
Mm.
I go into the valley a little longer than I want to be. You know, sometimes I'm comfortable in the isolation, in the negativity. I got to pull myself out. And sometimes I get stuck in there and I got to rely on people to pull me out. And I got to make my phone calls and I got to call my sponsor and I got to get to a meeting. But sometimes I don't want to do that stuff. I get sucked in and I get tired. Life gets lifey, man. Good things happen. I mean, bad things happen to good people all the time. I lost 4 people in the month of July. I lost my friend in Tampa. They found him in a hotel room. I lost my sponsee who thought he could go out one more time. I lost a girl who I got into treatment 3 times, 5 minutes before I went live. And I lost a 24-year-old kid that came to my facility. We became friends and she went out again and she's not here. I hit, believe it or not, something that I never heard of in my life. Compassion fatigue. Did you ever hear of that? Compassion fatigue is when you push empathy to the limit. I never heard of it. When the doctor told me I had it, I laughed at him. I said, I'm from the Bronx. There's no such thing as compassion fatigue. And he pulled up the symptoms, and it was everything I was going through. It was unbelievable. People that work in treatment, service industry, first responders, we get drained. We get drained from giving and giving and giving and giving, which is a beautiful thing. But like you said, if I don't put up boundaries, I overdo it with the giving, if that's even possible to overdo giving. And I hit this real dark place. And I didn't go live for a couple of days. I couldn't get out of it. And I had to go see a professional. And I went and I'm little by little getting out of it. But peaks and valleys. My life I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm playing with house money, bro. They told me I wouldn't make 35 years old. They told me I'd be gone. My mother had my plot from when I was 22 years old, ready, right? She always told me every time my phone rings, I think it's either you killed somebody or they killed you.
Mm.
And here I am, August 28th, I'll be 58 years old, playing with house money, living the fucking dream, man. No matter how bad it gets, I could persevere because I have a toolbox today that I work with when life gets lifey, right? And in my toolbox, I have my higher power, I have my sponsor, I have prayer, I have my support group, I have my phone numbers, and I have meetings. That is a powerful toolbox, man. And if I don't use it, I stay stuck in the valley. If I use it, I I crawl out of it and I get out of it and I wind up back at the peak. Now, we don't always stay at the peak. We don't always stay in the valley, but life on life's terms. That's what it is. Life on life's terms. I can't stress enough how amazing perseverance is when we come through the other side. Because sometimes I don't see the light, but it's there. It's there. I got to open my eyes a little wider, you know?
I speak a lot about life on life's terms, and the terminology that I've used a lot is when we're walking through the forest and we forget to take a look at the trees. And that's what life is. We have to look at the trees when we're walking through the forest. Don't just look for the end. Accept all the different shapes and sizes and colors that are on those trees as we're walking,
That's right.
because that's what life is, right? It's important. So I've had to give a few people this advice over the last couple of months. When we're taking pieces of ourselves to give to somebody else to fill a void in their body or their life or their spirit, if we're taking pieces of ourselves, that isn't helping. That is self-neglect, right? When we're taking a piece of ourselves that we can't put back and we're giving it to that person, that becomes self-neglect. We have to ensure, and people like you and people like me, we are empaths, right? We want to help people, but our priority must always be our own well-being comes first.
Absolutely.
It must always be our own well-being, because without that mindset, without that belief system in place, we're in for a whole world of trouble.
I always have to refuel my tank. You give, it's great. You give, and I'm never going to stop giving. But I have to refuel my tank. And how do I do that? Self-care is a big thing for me. I go to the gym. I go for a walk, right? I go to my meetings. I call my sponsor. I have to refuel. I work in treatment. I work in a rehab, helping people. Then I go live. Then I have sponsees. Give, take. And it's beautiful. That's my calling. But if I don't pause and get my ass to a meeting, like I'm going to do when I get off this podcast and talk about what I'm going through, I stay empty, right? I could go weeks with the gasoline light on and just drain myself. So I have to stay focused on my mental health, my self-care, my recovery. Because anything I put before my recovery, I'm going to lose it. You know how I know? Because I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah. What was your biggest takeaway from the 12 steps? If you could pick one thing that you built into your life or your personality or your identity, what's one thing that you could look at now and go, that was what I needed?
I know we spoke about it a lot, but empathy. I pulled empathy. I pulled patience and tolerance, unconditional love. The 12 steps molded me into this man that's sitting with you right now. And I'm really proud of that guy. I love this guy today. I learned to love myself, man. I learned to love who I am. That has got to be the biggest thing. I learned to love Joey. I learned to accept Joey.
There's this big conflict that I'm seeing on social media around recovery programs, and people will say certain things about one thing. What I'll tell you now, mate, for me, recovery is recovery. I don't give a fuck how you get there.
Me too.
As
Me
long as
too.
you're there and living the life that you want to live, brilliant. So I've got my way. When people say to me, I want you to help me in recovery, I've got my way of doing it, right? That's Lee's way. Joey's got Joey's way. The one thing I don't like is how this shit becomes a fucking competition of some sort. These are people's lives, man. These are people's lives that were struggling, that people are slandering or talking about. All it takes is one negative comment for somebody to go off and do something dangerous to themselves. And it really annoys me is that I could pick faults in, let's say, your life, you could pick faults in my life. That doesn't mean we have the right to go and try and tear somebody's world apart.
Right.
Nobody's got that right. Nobody has got that right as a human being. And I don't know if you see it much, mate, from what you do, but it's not right, man. It's fucking not right how people will try and tear somebody's world apart just because they don't agree with what they're doing.
It's going on right now. It's going on right now as we speak. There's a big thing going on. I just did a video right before I came on about everything is fixable. Let's not lose focus on why we're doing this. My views don't got to be your views. Listen, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody in your recovery process, I'm going to hug you and tell you congratulations, man. And that's a fact. I will never discourage or disparage anybody, but I'm going to tell you this. The FYP, okay, on TikTok is so important because when a newcomer is doing this, scrolling, and they see a recovery live, as an influencer, as a content creator, I have a job to give a clear message of recovery. They don't want to go by and see people yelling or hear people being negative or another content creator complaining. They want to hear a message of hope. And that's why I keep my live very clean, very pure. I don't do a lot of boxes. I don't allow a lot of people in. I keep it like this, me and you. You come and speak in my live on a Sunday, you tell your story, I drop you down, and it's over. We have a responsibility. Just like when a newcomer walks into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, he wants to walk in and feel safe. He don't want a bunch of people yelling and screaming and talking crazy. So it's very important that FYP stays pure. It's got to stay pure. We got to attract them into the live. I got to be promoting hope. I got to be promoting unconditional love. And we believe that we believe you could do it. And that's what I do. Yeah. And by the grace of God, it's been a year and everybody always says, Jomo, got a safe place. We love coming in here. But unfortunately, there's jealousy, there's envy, and some people get better and some people get better at what they were doing. You got to check your motive. Why are you really doing this? Right? TikTok could stop the monetization tomorrow with the little things that fly on the screen. And I would still do this. I would come on the next day and still do it. I didn't get into it for that. But if that happens, it happens. But I love reaching people because people never stop trying to reach me. I got to give away what was freely given to me. If I don't do that, I'm a recovery thief. I'm a thief. I might as well wear a mask into a meeting. If I'm not going into a meeting and sharing hope and giving a newcomer my phone number and telling somebody who relapsed, hey, man, it's okay, man. We love you. Your higher power still has a plan for you. If I'm not doing that, I'm a thief.
So when we talk the monetization, I couldn't care less. I really, really couldn't care less about monetization of people gifting. And like I've heard you say it before, you don't have to gift me nothing. Just come in here and sit and have the conversation.
Right.
I've met a few people over the last couple of months who have got big numbers. They're getting big numbers. They're not doing it for the right reason. I can see straight through.
Right.
I can see straight through. I've got my studio here now, so I'm in sort of like the director's part, but there's the so there's like where I do the full podcasts, where I do the face to face ones. This room's cost me quite a lot of money so far, mate. I've not earned a penny from what I'm doing. Not a penny. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't want, don't get me wrong. If the YouTube channel become big, obviously there'd be a
Yeah.
financial gain, which is good, but I don't care. As long as people listen to these conversations, and I've had conversations with guys from the 12 steps, I've had conversations with psychologists, I've had conversations with people from the SMART program. Everybody's different. And that's what I love that I'm doing. I'm giving people, you could be the spanner, right, in somebody's tool set. Somebody else could be the hammer. Somebody
Right.
else could be the
Exactly.
drill. Whatever, whatever. Um, I know you're short on time, mate. So I'll keep it short and sweet. First of all, I appreciate this conversation that we've had, mate. I really do, and I'd love to do it again. Do you know the one thing that I enjoy the most about speaking with people like yourselves is there'll be certain things that we might not see eye to eye on. The same with my friend Mikey. He's a big 12-step. Um, he's quite high up in the program with his position. I don't know what it is, but he like the word disease, right? I see addiction as a response to emotional and psychological suffering. That's how I see it. And it's the beauty of these conversations with the likes of us that will give people the tools. There's no arguments, there's no conflict, there's pure conversation between two human beings who love each other, man. And that's what I love about this stuff. um I've got one more question for you, mate.
Tell me. I got
was there
time.
was there any All right, okay. So, well, the question that I was going to ask you was, did you know any of the famous? I'm a mafia fanatic, mate. A big mafia fanatic.
I knew. I knew.
Did,
I
did you
knew.
know any?
I knew. I can't get specific, but I was close with the Banana people.
Wow.
Yeah. One of them is very popular on YouTube. Very popular.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not gonna act. I was not in it. I
No.
was not a
No.
made guy, but I did know them. I knew someone from every family. But I was closer with some of the Banana people.
Nice. Wow. The Bronx. It's always fascinated me. Mafia and the things like that, gangster things, and I've never been involved in it, but I used to watch a lot on the Gambino family, the Genovese family, the Bonanno family. I used to watch a lot of stuff on them. What was it like growing up in the Bronx, man? What was that era like in such a infamous part of New York?
It was actually it was really beautiful. We had Orchard Beach in the Bronx, and we used to go there, and a bunch of us, 40, 50 friends, we'd all get in taxi cabs and go there. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of back in the day they used to call it bash, 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 right? It was a styrofoam cooler. We'd fill it with vodka and pink lemonade. And we'd all, back then there was boom boxes because it was the 80s. And we set
Yeah,
up our boom boxes and a big piece of linoleum. And we all would dance and break dance and do all that electric boogie. And it was a lot of fun. Believe it or not, I used to do it. I
yeah.
used to be good at it. But
Really?
it was an amazing, amazing time growing up in the Bronx. I lived right by the Sound. My house was right on the water and a lot of beach clubs. Um, it was really, really fun. It was really fun. But like I said, it was loaded with organized crime. And I was
Mm.
attracted to it my entire life. I loved it. I loved it. I loved being around it. You know, I loved the cars. I had a giant Lincoln Town car with a rag top for a long time. It was a vintage look at me type of car and had the hydraulics in it. Um, I had a lot of fun until it wasn't fun. I had a lot of fun.
Speaking about the past there, like as you were, how does that make you feel now? Speaking about your your younger years, let's say. How does that make Jomo feel today?
Talking about the past,
Yeah.
you want me to tell you the truth? I don't have any feeling for it anymore. I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Mm.
I don't miss it at all. Um, I don't ever think about the Bronx. The only reason I have to go back to New York is to visit my daughter. And that's it. There is no other reason for me to go there. Um, I moved to Florida in 2018, and I only went back one time because my daughter let me back into her life after 8 years of not talking to me, and I got her back in
Nice.
my life. But I had a lot more bad memories in the Bronx than I have good now. You know, the second half of my life was not good, and it was nothing about. It was everything about bad decisions and missed opportunities and disappointing people and not being relevant in anybody's life. You know, I just had to get out. I was also a drug dealer in New York. I was very big. I was very big in my area. Everybody knew who I was, knew what I did. And that was another reason why I had to leave. Um, I just was an absentee person. You know, I was an absentee son, an absentee father, an absentee husband, an absentee friend, an absentee employee, you know,
Yeah.
because I was addicted to the streets. I actually gave up a management position in an elevator company to be the lead drug dealer in a in like a little cartel in the Bronx. I left it. I left it. So you talk about making bad decisions. I tell everybody I went to the University of Bad Decision Makers. You know,
How's your relationship with your daughter today?
let me tell you something, man. In 2018, this is a true story. She texted me. She said, "Daddy, go fuck yourself." She said, "You're a piece of shit." She said, "When you see me in the street, walk on the other side. I don't want anyone to know you're my father." That's what she told me. And a week later, I moved to Florida. And like I said, in 2020, I got clean and sober. And I don't know about you, but when an addict gets clean, when an addict finally has the epiphany, like the Holy Grail comes down, and now you everybody is supposed to forgive me now. Everybody's got to get ready to let me back in your life. And guess what? It doesn't work that way, especially with my daughter. 8 years she didn't talk to me. And I went to meetings and I cried over her. And I said, I miss my daughter. I want my daughter back. And people who have been through it guided me. And they said, Joey, keep sending her the birthday cards. Keep telling her you miss her. Keep telling her. Forgiveness is her process, not when I want it done. It's when he feels it's ready and she's ready. And I never knew. I never wanted to accept that, but I had to. And little by little, I would still keep sending her stuff. I miss you. Daddy loves you. Daddy dropped the ball. Let me pick up the ball. Let me be your dad again. I'm going to wait as long as it takes. And December 1st of 2024, I got the phone call. Daddy, I'm ready. Daddy, I'm ready. And December 5th, I was on a plane to New York. And I got to the house. And she came down running with my grandson. And I got a grandson out of this too. And I'm living the dream, man. I'm living the dream. Someone who told me don't ever come around here again is in my life on a regular basis. It's not where I want it to be. It could be better, but I went from no answering to getting text messages. So baby steps. It's much better than where it was.
Yeah, again, man, I can see it from both sides. I can see it from when we talk recovery, right? So January this year, my my partner, my girlfriend. So me and my girlfriend have been together 3 years. Um, I was married for 16 years, got divorced, and then went through a couple of years of just fucking madness, drink, drugs, women, madness, man. Met my girlfriend, lied to her, told her that I wasn't in addiction anymore, told her I didn't do nothing. I just lied, barefaced lied. Um, and then I put her through hell for fucking 2 years. This woman allowed me into her life with an open arms and an open heart, and allowed me to take that heart. And all I did was fucking step on it for 2 years. And so when I came into recovery in January, I just thought, well, this is it. I'm good now. I'm good. Everybody else is going to be great. It was only until March, maybe, that I realized this woman was suffering. I traumatized this woman. I traumatized this fucking woman. I broke this woman's heart on more than one occasion. And it was at that moment, as far as my relationship with her goes, that I knew you're on the starting line of this, brother. You're on the starting line. This is where the work gets done.
Right.
And every day, I might not get it right every day of the week, but I'm trying. I'm trying to put some beautiful moments together, trying to build a relationship that I know is going to last forever. I know, I've got no doubt in my mind. But it's right what you said there. Because we're recovered, we feel as everybody else should recover with us, and that's not how it works, man.
It takes time.
Um,
It takes time. I've been pissing on people's shoes my entire life, pissing on them. And now all of a sudden, I finally decide that enough is enough. Now I'm supposed to expect you to let me back in. You know how many times I told my family that I was done? And by the time I got down their driveway, I was calling the plug already. I hurt them. I lied to them over and over and over again. So it takes time. I say it all the time. The relationships get healed in time. Time. Things I must earn. Time. Doesn't happen overnight, but it's going to happen. I guarantee you it happens. You do the next right thing. You stay in the solution and you show her you walk the walk, you talk the talk. It's going to get better and better every day. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And it is, man. I'm walking that path. I can feel it. She can feel it. We're in so much of a different place as where we were 2 years ago, where she'd be phoning me at 5 o'clock in the morning and she didn't know where I was. And I'd be in some kitchen with a bunch of guys I didn't even know doing stupid things,
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
we're in a different world now, man. Our reality's changing. And it's really important that we keep putting in this work, keep being the solution. I like that, because I always say, if we talk about solutions, we become the solution. If we
Correct.
talk about problems all the time, we become the problem. And it's really important, right? It's really important that solution-based conversation is needed now more than ever. I've never seen the world in such a fragile position. Don't get me wrong. In the 40s, when there was World War, and I wasn't around, but I've never seen the world in such a fragile position as what it is now. And it's people like yourself, people like all the guests that I've had. We become the solution together, right? And it's really, really important, brother. Um, I've got one more question for you, mate. I've got one more question.
Okay.
If you could sit four people around a dinner table from the past, they could be family members, they could be your idols, they could be somebody from ancient history, anybody, literally anybody you want. If you could sit four people around a dinner table with you, who would they be and why?
My father. I would love to talk about things that were left unsaid. I would love to tell him I love him because I hardly ever did, and let him know that I 100% forgive him. My grandma, we used to call her Grandma Dolly, just to let her know that I missed her and I thought she was one of the greatest people to walk the face of the earth. Um, you're gonna laugh. Thurman Munson from the Yankees. I would
I
love to
knew that
sit,
was coming.
I would love to sit there and just tell him the happiness that he brought me as a child watching him play baseball, because he died unexpectedly in a plane crash
Okay.
when I was young. And the fourth one, my little brother Jimmy, who passed away to this disease a week before his 19th birthday. Why I would want to talk to him? To really make an amends and tell him that I was sorry, that I could have been a better brother, that I could have led by a better example to him, because I showed him all the wrong things, like street stuff. And I would have loved to have been there for him more. And just again, to tell him that I love him and I miss him. That's why.
Is that something that's played on your mind a lot with your brother?
Yes, it was a big, big thing. When he passed away, I used that as a platform to really go bananas in my addiction. He died a week before his 19th birthday, drinking and driving. He was in the passenger seat, and he was the only one who passed away. There was 3 people in the front and the driver, and they all walked away. He was the only one. And I showed him the wrong way all the time. I showed him street life. I showed him the easy way out. I showed him shortcuts, drug dealing. I introduced him to his first bag of cocaine. And the guilt was through the roof for 20 years, through the roof. And until I got into recovery and started the process of the 12 steps, I couldn't forgive myself. And now I forgive myself. And I know he forgives me. I know he's looking down going, holy shit, I can't believe you're doing a podcast. I can guarantee it.
So use the word platform, right? It's almost though if we were to make it visual in our minds. Clearly, you take a lot of blame or did take a lot of blame for what happened to your brother. Then, right? I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
to use the word platform, you're putting that moment on a pedestal for your addiction. So your addiction always has a reason, always has an excuse.
oh, yeah.
Forgive me for using the word excuse, but there's a reason for your addiction to use, right? I'm using because I blame myself. That's unconsciously, that's what you're telling yourself, right?
That's exactly what I told myself. Yeah. And we grew up in an area where everybody knew my family. So if I went out drinking at a local bar, everybody would come over to talk about it. And then all the crocodile tears and all the shots and running to the bathroom 50 times, getting high in honor of my brother. What you talk about being misinformed by the misinformed, man? And I ran on that guilt and I ran on that empty hole in my heart for years and years and years. And through step work, I wasn't responsible for the crash. I wasn't responsible for what he was doing. He made a choice to do what he did. Is it still, it's a lot easier now because I accept it for what it was. But I do wish I had one moment with him. And I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you did. It was kind of cleansing. It was very therapeutic to say that on this podcast, because I would love to sit with him and tell him I love you and I'm doing good now. And I wish I could have been a better brother. I would love that.
The thing is, though, mate, so I've done a lot of I wish I could have, I wish I should have, right? You're being a better brother now. You're being a better brother now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here, right now. You're the best brother he could have asked for.
I believe that he's looking down right now. My dad, my grandma, all of them. Thurman Munson.
Listen, I appreciate you giving me your time, telling me your story. And I wish you nothing but, love, peace, and happiness for your future, man. I'm sure we'll do this again one day. Be nice to do it face to face one day. Who knows? Who knows where this podcast's going to take me?
You got to get me on a plane first, man. I'm fearful of flying, but you know what?
I'll come to you, mate.
Oh yeah, we could definitely do it, man. Listen, I want to thank you for this. This is beyond my wildest dreams because I'm looking to take this to the next level on YT YouTube, and I'm living a dream, man. I got nothing but love and admiration for you, and I'm so glad we did this. I'm so happy we did this. when do you edit it? How long does it take?
A couple of days, couple of
Okay.
days.
And it'll
Um,
be on YouTube?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be on YouTube. I'll make a couple of clips. I'll send you the clips. If you send me your phone number or whatever, I'll send them over on WhatsApp or something like that, and you can use them on your page. The only thing I ask if you get people come to watch the podcast is that they subscribe to the channel. It's free, doesn't cost
Yeah,
anything.
no, I
All
understand.
they've got to do is, yeah, just that's all I want, man. That's all I want to. I want to build. TikTok is where I put the clips. YouTube is where I want to build my family. Right? YouTube is doing. I've put a lot of hard work into this, mate. A lot of work
Well,
goes
you
into these
deserve it. You
episodes.
deserve the accolades. You deserve it. So I'll promote your YouTube on my live too. I will let them know. And when you send me the clips, I'll tell them to go over there and like and subscribe. I already told a lot
Yeah.
of people I was doing this today. So I'm really blessed. I'm really blessed to have done this, and I really appreciate you. And anytime you want to do this again, you let me know.
Let's do it. Do you know what, mate? And I don't want to do it for the confrontation. I really don't. But I've been really thinking about getting somebody from a 12-step program, getting somebody who disagrees with it, and trying to find a common ground as to why. Because I think when I first came into recovery, I didn't agree with certain things from a smart recovery or what somebody was saying from their own recovery or from a 12 step. And people will say the same thing about me, right? People will say, well, I don't agree with what you say. That's fine. We're all individuals. But what I don't like is the negativity that comes with it all. We're all fucking human beings trying to be the best version of ourselves,
Exactly. Well,
right?
I find that a lot of the people that are totally opposed to the 12 steps, and this is what I've seen, are like butthurt from maybe they went to a meeting and something happened. They weren't greeted
Mm,
right, or they heard something they didn't agree with. I don't know. Most people that
mm,
oppose the 12 steps had something happen to them at a meeting, and they made a
right.
blanket statement, a generalization. Now, like I said, I
Yeah.
don't care if you don't go to meetings, but you don't need to rip it
Yeah.
to shreds because you're just
No.
hurting the next person who needs to go there, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely agree. Everybody's got an opinion, right? Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got something to say about something. And if that's the case, so be it. But just keep it to yourself.
Right.
When it's something to do with something so serious, because let's not get it twisted here, Jomo, and you know this. This shit is real. This shit kills people. People kill themselves on a daily basis
It's life and
because
death.
of trauma, because of addiction, whatever that may be. This is something that gets spoken about on social media, on TikTok or whatever. This is real life, man. So
Yeah.
when people are speaking about it just to make themselves look good for likes and gifts, get fucked is what I say.
No, I hear you. I hear you. If you notice, I didn't ask you one time, how do you stay clean and sober? And don't take this the
Yeah,
wrong way. I don't give a shit. As,
I agree.
as long as, see what you're doing there? You're smiling. You're happy. Whatever you're
Yeah,
doing, keep doing it.
yeah,
We may not be on the same road, but the journey is the
yeah,
same. And at the end of the day, I want to hug you and I want to say, you know what, brother? We stood clean another day. That's all that matters, not how you did it. Who
yeah,
cares?
yeah, yeah. I agree, and I'm really glad that you know what I am. I'm really glad that we've had this conversation because people need to hear this type of conversation, right? It's two grown men who've been through some shit in their lives,
Oof.
come out the other end of it. Your journey's different to mine, but we can sit there and shake hands through the screen, give each other a hug through the screen, tell each other
That's
we
right.
love each
That's
other.
right.
That's what recovery is. That's what growth is. That's what life is. It's not about whose path looks more glamorous than the other one,
Right.
because there's no such fucking thing.
Right.
And that's really, I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you giving me your time. And maybe one day I'll come on your live and I'll share my story with
I'd
people.
love for
Right?
that.
Maybe
I'd
I'll
love
do that.
I'd love for you to do that. I would absolutely love it.
Mm,
All right, brother?
yeah, we can do that. 100%. 100%. I appreciate you, mate, and thank you very much.
All right. I
I'm
love you.
going to